welcome to End Your Day Stronger. I have tonight with me the A-team. We've got Pastor Bob and
you got it.
And we've got Faye. Thanks for having us in your home, or thanks for joining us wherever you're tuning in. Yeah. We're going to pick it up sort of where we've left off this Sunday and the past two nights. Pastor Nelson was speaking a lot about King Nebuchadnezzar and sort of his journey. This guy was on quite the path. I mean, he went through some pretty interesting things, and the end goal for God was to not only reveal to Nebuchadnezzar who God himself was, but also reveal to Nebuchadnezzar who Nebuchadnezzar was in contrast to God. So it kind of started off, this guy went through some incredible experiences where he had these dreams that were just shook him to the core, and the dreams were translated to him by Daniel without him even telling Daniel what the dreams were. God gave Daniel a picture of what the dreams were, and so on and so forth. He even witnessed a physical miracle with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego being tossed into the fiery furnace. But what happened? They weren't burned up. Nothing on them was singed, even not even a hair. So Nebuchadnezzar got to see all these really cool things, and got to get a taste of who God was, but still didn't quite see who he was. If we go off of last night, we talked about how he was successful. He was the ruler of the entire known world at that time. And it just didn't quite occur to him that it was actually God who gave him all this success. He took it upon himself to say, look what I've done. So God brought him to this place of, if you read it, it says he went through 7 years of insanity. God took his sanity from him, where the Bible describes it as he lived like a wild animal. He literally ate grass like a cow. His hair became matted and long like feathers of an eagle, which I think we can say probably dreadlocks, which people today actually go for as a style. His nails grew as long as talons. Like, he was just a mess. Imagine what would your response be if you saw Nebuchadnezzar in all his splendor and glory, and then all of a sudden you're out in a field and you see this wild guy running around like...
Oh man, I'd want to know what happened, that's for sure.
Right? I don't think I'd want to go near him.
I'd be asking some questions.
I'd say, what strange breed of cow is that?
I'd probably keep my distance from him. But anyways, I want to pick it up in chapter 4 of Daniel, verse 34 and 35. So Nebuchadnezzar went through the 7 years of insanity. And it says this: at the end of that time, I, Nebuchadnezzar, raised my eyes toward heaven, and my sanity was restored. Then I praised the Most High. I honored and glorified him who lives forever. A little bit different than praising himself earlier, right?
Attitude,
His dominion is an eternal dominion. His kingdom endures from generation to generation. All the peoples of the earth are regarded as nothing. He does what he pleases with the powers of heaven and the peoples of the earth. No one can hold back his hand or say to him, what have you done? Now, Nebuchadnezzar, 7 years of being insane and living this way, you'd think would snap out of it and be like, why did you do that to me, God? How often do we feel like doing that to God? Or how often do we do that? God, why did you allow this to happen? God, I don't like the weather. Why did you allow it to snow before Halloween? You know what I mean? How often do we tend to do that?
And it's really is incredible that he really went straight to praise. And he went straight to proclaiming the right position, where God is the Almighty, the everlasting, and I am not, we are not. And it is quite incredible that he went through that, and that's immediately the heart position that he had.
Exactly. He now sees himself realistically. And of course, that puts God in the right perspective. And that's what I want to focus on tonight is God is the I am. He is eternal. Pastor Nelson talked about that at great length on Sunday. God is eternal. There's no beginning, no end. We have a beginning and we have an end on this earth. And so does the creation, actually. Pastor Nelson talked about how all of creation exists because God wills it to exist. And at one point, he's going to will it not to exist anymore. So everything we can see, hear, feel, touch, all the senses is temporary.
It's so different from what our culture teaches. Hey, like we don't really we don't talk about being fragile people or death. It's but it really is that. Like if you have air in your lungs and you wake up in the morning, it really is a gift that has been handed down to you, that has been given to you. Nothing that you could do to will that, right? It came from God, and that's the only explanation. That's the only thing for it, and but it kind of seems like in culture you really want to run from that, and you really want to just kind of focus on what it's about is building up my life and taking care of myself and all this stuff. But really, it really comes down to God giving it to you. Because
all of a sudden it can be gone.
Gone, yeah.
And our background tonight is these wilted flowers.
Right,
and the Bible describes our lives as human beings as flowers. We're there one day, one season, we're magnificent, beautiful, and the next we're withered and we're blown away by the wind, right?
Yeah.
Our lives are...
That happened Friday night, I think, last week. The huge the frost hit.
Oh, yeah.
Hard.
Yeah.
I think that was when, one of the nights there.
Yeah, you look out in the backyard and all of a sudden everything's... But Bobby, you came across something interesting. You were talking about the Olympics.
Yeah, I was looking at some old video. This is some amongst the oldest videos ever got. They ever had left. 1896 Olympics. I think it's London. I might be wrong on that. And of course, you see the whole crowd. You see the guys jumping over stuff, And I got thinking, none of those people on that video are alive today.
Not a single one.
Not a single one.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's just the reality. Like, if you think about it, even a guy like Lazarus, who in the Bible, Jesus raised him from the dead, what happened to him?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He eventually died, again. Yeah. Each one of us is going to face that. And as I said, as well as all of creation, it's all going to pass away. And I want to read from Romans chapter 1, verse 20. It says this: "For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse." I want to talk about this temporary creation that we have. And I actually have a question for you two. And it's kind of a two-part question, but I think that both of them kind of go hand in hand, because it's kind of what Nebuchadnezzar went through. All of a sudden he started seeing things with a different perspective. So what about creation blows your mind? And have you ever passed by something like 1,000 times, and then one day all of a sudden it's like, boom, I noticed this thing, and it's intricate, and it's wonderfully made, and God made this thing?
Yeah.
Have you guys ever experienced anything like that?
Well, I have actually. So in March, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and you get kind of this crash course in nutrition and how your body handles food and breaks that down and all that, the whole process of it. And one of the things that just totally blew my mind is that just how intelligent your organs are created. Like when you're eating something, so for example, like when you're having your meal, your brain and your pancreas are already communicating. They're already doing the math. They're already figuring out what it is that you need, how much insulin that your pancreas needs to secrete to help you process that food. And so I kind of knew that's how it worked, and I thought, well, that's during, when it's being digested, and that's when all that's happening. No, it's actually just when you're putting it in your mouth. And it's already your organs are working together, figuring it out to take care of you.
That's amazing.
That's got to be an intelligent design right there, I'd say.
Right.
It's amazing.
And this is something that you never would have known before or even cared to notice.
Who thinks of their pancreas? I don't know. You don't. But it really, really blew my mind.
That is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Bob?
Well, my wife would say my socks on the floor in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I can relate to that. You passed by them 1,000 times.
Yeah. But actually, I think the thing that in recent, within the last 5 years, we got to go to the Grand Canyon, my wife and I. And, I was fascinated with the Grand Canyon. Done a lot of reading on it, and, you see pictures of it. But there was nothing like being there.
Right.
On the edge of the canyon and seeing it. It's beyond, like, it's like you're there and you're not just taking in the view of the canyon. It's got an atmosphere or something about it. And, you know, God made that canyon.
That's right. That's amazing, Bob. I'd love to experience that.
Yeah, you got to go there sometime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So as we draw this to a close, guys, I think it's really important that we stop and smell the flowers once in a while.
Yes.
Before they turn out like this.
Yes.
Because everything in creation, you know, obviously each one of us, we're all going to wilt, we're all going to pass away. But God really does have a way of, through creation, through this temporary thing, drawing us towards Him. So I think that it's better off that we allow our perspective to change by what's right in front of us, rather than having to go through something like Nebuchadnezzar. I mean, he got it. He saw God for who He was, and now he saw himself for who He is. So I leave you with this tonight. Everything here is temporary. God is the only eternal guarantee.
Yeah.
Yet while we're here, He has purpose and plan for each and every one of our lives. Seek it out. You'll be glad that you did.